With that, let's dive in. I'm going to hand this over to Natalie, my colleague in New York, to get us started.
Thanks, Di. Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. Before we dive into the data, I'd like to provide you with a brief overview of what we're going to cover today. During the webinar, we'll uncover general smartphone usage patterns, why, how, and where people are using their devices, and then we'll explore 3 mobile consumer trends that we saw emerge around smartphone usage. Smartphone users are action-oriented searchers. We'll look at how search is utilized to access content and how it aids in decision-making. Smartphone users are local information seekers. What type of local content is accessed by smartphone users, and what is the opportunity for local marketers? Smartphone users are purchase-driven shoppers. What role do mobile devices play in the purchase funnel or the purchase decision-making process? And finally, how do consumers respond to advertising, and how can you, as the marketer, reach the smartphone consumer? The ultimate goal of this study was to understand how consumers are using their smartphones. Marketers should start here so that creative and media plans are designed to deliver the right messages to the right people at the right times. Going into this research, we had a lot of hypotheses, but really wanted to dig deep and understand a few key things. How are smartphones used in daily life? How do consumers multitask with their smartphones? What types of information are consumers searching for on their mobile devices? What role do smartphones play in the decision-making for products and services? And how do consumers respond to mobile ads? To answer these questions, we commissioned a study with Ipsos OTX Media CT in Q4 of 2010. A total of 5,013 smartphone users aged 18 to 64 were interviewed in a 20-minute survey. Respondents were screened in on usage of the Internet on their smartphone devices. We defined smartphones for respondents as a mobile phone offering advanced capabilities, often with PC-like functionality or the ability to download apps. Of all the survey invitees, 34% qualified for the study. Now on to the general smartphone usage trends. More and more, we're seeing that smartphones are becoming ingrained in people's daily lives. In fact, 89% use their smartphones daily for purposes other than for sending and receiving calls. Further, 8 in 10 say that they use their smartphones multiple times a day for these reasons. We asked respondents where they use their devices. That is, where are they physically located as they interact with their smartphones? Well, we found that the most popular place is at home, with 9 in 10 using them there. After home's next, and not surprisingly, we see on the go. So that means when they're out and about, when they're commuting, when they're walking. And then what marketers would consider the point of relevancy, we see in a store or in a restaurant, the time when they're ready to make a decision or buy something or select a restaurant to eat at. And here's some food for thought for you healthcare marketers. Half of smartphone users are using their devices while they're waiting at the doctor's office. So think about how you can leverage this captive audience to have your message heard. Essentially, the data on this slide stresses the importance of always being on with your campaign or your message. Smartphone owners are using their devices throughout their days, regardless of where they are. So how does the smartphone behavior compare to that of PCs? Well, we found that these devices are used in similar ways. In a typical week, 8 in 10 browse the Internet, and nearly the same number use a search engine to gather information. They even watch online video, with nearly half doing so. However, because mobile devices are always on and always with us, the digital experience has been transformed through the usage of mobile apps, with 68% citing that they use them. In fact, app users reported engaging with an average of 8 apps regularly. Given that smartphones are used for a variety of purposes, it's not surprising to see that people are multitasking with their mobile devices. So we see that 72% are in fact simultaneous media users. And what do we mean by that? Well, we found that smartphone users are engaged with other non-traditional and traditional media while using the internet on their mobile devices. A third of users are watching TV. So you can only imagine harnessing the opportunity of reaching that individual who picks up his or her mobile device as a result of seeing your commercial. The other interesting insight is this idea of dual browsing. 3 in 10 are not only using the internet on their mobile device, but they are using the internet on another web-enabled device at the same time. So that could be, their laptop, their handheld gaming system, or their tablet. And so what are the implications for you as a marketer? It's essential that you have an integrated cross-media strategy. Consumers are engaging with a variety of media vehicles simultaneously. And later in this presentation, we'll go into how smartphone users engage with advertising. So what other activities are they doing while they're browsing the internet on their smartphones? They're waiting in line, they're shopping, they're eating, they're socializing, they're walking their dog, and they're even pumping gas. And yes, they're even having what they believe to be a meaningful conversation while web browsing on their mobile device. And perhaps the most eye-opening of all, we found the replacement to the age-old magazine in the bathroom. It seems to be the smartphone. And it's because smartphones are incorporated into every facet of one's life, they are used to accomplish a wide range of tasks. Staying connected is the #1 reason for using smartphones, either by email or via social network. Following that is information gathering and staying up to date with activities such as reading the news or looking up information of interest. And of course, they're using it to plan their schedules. 34% use it to plan their finances. 1 in 5 use it to make travel arrangements or even dinner reservations. So we know that they're using smartphones anywhere, everywhere, and all of the time. This slide just demonstrates how integral smartphones are in people's lives. They're willing to give up life's pleasures in order to be able to continue using their devices. The most popular choices include sustenance: beer, wine, chocolate, and coffee. Women specifically were willing to give up their high-heeled shoes, lipsticks, manicures, and pedicures. And other items that made the list include DVRs and cable TV. Now I'd like to explore the first of our major mobile consumer trends. Smartphone users are the action-oriented searchers. Mobile internet users are visiting a variety of websites. They're social networking, they're visiting video sharing websites, they're reading consumer reviews and engaging with brands via your brand website or a retail website. And because we know from other research that search engines such as Google and Yahoo and Bing are used to navigate to these types of websites, it's not surprising to see that they are the most popular site visited, with 3/4 visiting them. In fact, 86% of those who use search engines do so regularly. So we know that smartphone users use search engines to access a wide range of content. As we saw earlier in this presentation, staying up to date is important. However, search engines help users plan everyday activities like entertainment-based activities. 49% use search to look up television programming, reviews, movie timetables, and so forth. 1 in 3 mobile search engine users are also looking up food-related information like recipes or nutritional information. And then we see something interesting. The line between one's personal and professional life on their device is blurred. 1 in 4 use their device to access business-related information, products, or services, such as business cards, ordering office supplies, domain names, etc. As you can see, these categories vary greatly and all intersect at one's mobile device. Therefore, whatever your business, whoever your target, ensure that you're not only online, but that you leverage search to reach your target audience. So we wanted to understand why so many smartphone users are turning to search. This data shows and confirms something we already know. people are searching because it's easily accessible when they're on the go, aren't in front of a computer, or they just need the information as quickly as possible. They're addressing what we're calling is an urgent need. Essentially, they're doing it because it's convenient and readily accessible. The fact that they're looking for information they can act on right away, this helps us explain why 9 out of 10 have taken some sort of action as a result of a smartphone search. So let's dig a little deeper into this. Half of our respondents indicated that they have made a purchase as a result of the information they've gathered via search on their mobile devices. These purchases were made cross-channel, in-store, on their actual smartphone, or online via another Internet-enabled device. However, even though half are purchasing, it's interesting to see how smartphones are leading the consumer through the purchase funnel, from information gathering to visiting the business to ultimately recommending the product. Smartphones are affecting all phases of the research process. So what does this mean for you? Maybe your consumer hasn't hit the buy button yet, but it doesn't mean that he or she isn't a captive audience. It's important to have a mobile-optimized website in addition to your online site to provide a seamless brand experience for your customer. To further support this point, 7 out of 10 users stated that they expect the websites they visit on their smartphone to be as easy to navigate and access as they are when they visit them on the computer. So now I'd like to turn it back over to Di to tell us about the local information seeker.
Great. Thanks, Natalie. Yeah. So one of the key usage patterns we're seeing among smartphone users is that they're looking for local information. In fact, practically all smartphone users have done this, making it not only one of the most common activities, but at 95% of smartphone users, it's practically universally done. Now, we asked this question based on frequency, and when we look at the data, 44% actually look up local information all the time or frequently on their smartphones. Now, this shouldn't come as a surprise to most folks. It's fairly intuitive when you think about the unique capabilities of a smartphone, which has built-in GPS and maps. Now, combine this with the user need to access information on the go, and it makes clear sense that looking for local information is one of the top things smartphone users do. In fact, separately, from this research, we know that 1 in 3 mobile searches has local intent. What we found really interesting is that local information seekers are really ready to act. They're ready to buy and are close to making a purchase decision. In fact, 77% have contacted the business, with 61% calling and 59% visiting. And 44% have actually made a purchase. Now, most of that is happening in stores, which makes sense since they're looking for local business information, but you can also see that they're buying online as well. So the previous slide highlighted key actions users take after looking up local information. Here, I wanted to share the full set of actions users perform. You can see that these reflect valuable user interactions, such as recommending a business, which 22% of people do, and in general, show that local information seekers are highly qualified leads that are near to converting. You can imagine that if someone is looking for your business on a map or is trying to get directions, which 58% of users are doing, that they're pretty interested in your business. The implications of these findings are that you really need to think about how you can make it easy for local information seekers to find and reach you. You should take advantage of location-based services, or think about features like click-to-call, which displays your phone number and which users can easily click to connect directly to your business. Separately from this, there are mobile ad formats. Google has mobile ad formats where you provide you enter in your location address, and when they're searching, the search ad, if they're searching within your location, the search ad will show your business on a map, and it will actually show the distance of how near the user is to your business. And it will also display your phone number. So thinking about the fact that people are trying to find your store, or they're locating a retailer, or they want to call you, think about how you can make it easy for them to do that. So what we also found is that nearly all local information seekers take action within a day. These are users who are looking for information that they can act on now, not tomorrow. They have an urgency, and you can really capitalize on this. 88% take an action, within a day, and the vast majority are actually doing this immediately. Right? 36% are acting on the information immediately, and 75% in total are taking action within a day. Again, these are really highly qualified kind of mobile consumers. Now I'd like to share some research findings around mobile shopping. In this section on mobile consumer behavior, the research really brought to life three main sets of findings. The first is about how smartphone consumers are using their phones to help with shopping. 79% of smartphone users do this. The second is around the role that smartphones play in cross-channel purchase behavior, as 70% are using their phones while in store. And the third is around how smartphones are actually driving purchases, as 74% are making purchases as a result of using their smartphones. So let me dive into each one of these now. So this slide really communicates that smartphones have become an indispensable shopping tool. We're using it to make us smarter shoppers. In fact, one of the most common ways that we're using smartphones is to find out which store to go to get us to the store. 78% of the ways that we're using smartphones are in-store drivers. Very commonly, people are looking to locate a retailer. 54% are doing this. A lot of times, we're trying to find out if the store has a product that we want to buy before we go there. So we see that a third are actually searching for the store's inventory. Another really common usage of smartphones is to get more product information. 69% of smartphone users are doing this. And the most common things are obviously to read more, learn more about the product, to compare the features of the product. And some, 1 in 5 are actually watching online videos to learn about the product. Lastly, we've talked a lot about contacting retailers, earlier, both in the local context as well as, in the search context. In mobile shopping, about half of folks are also, looking for the best deal. 48% are trying to find or use offers and discounts. So this is, a lot of this mobile shopping behavior and how we're using the phones to help us, a lot of that's being done in the store. 70% of smartphone shoppers are using their phones in the store, and that's to compare prices and get product reviews. In fact, it's not here in this deck, but we also asked users, when were they using their smartphones in the purchase process? In the beginning, in the middle, in the end? And the most people are using it in the beginning, 41%, like a quarter of folks are using it in the middle, but a third of people are using it throughout the entire purchase process, throughout the entire research and decision-making process. And, this is really important because what we're seeing is that smartphones have become an integral part of the multi-channel purchase process. And so this slide shows different purchase paths that users take using their smartphone for shopping. And we highlight the ones that really bring them into the store. So you see that a lot of purchase behavior for smartphone shoppers begins with research on their phones. And a lot of it is bringing users into the store. 67%, or 2/3 of smartphone shoppers, start their research on their smartphones, go into the store, and purchase. But you can see that it also continues beyond the store, right? There's like a quarter of folks who start their research on their smartphones, go to the stores, and end up buying online. And you can see here as well that there's a percentage of folks that end up buying on their smartphones. The takeaway and the key implication, from this slide and this purchase behavior is that you really need to have an integrated cross-channel strategy. Before the mobile internet boomed and we had smartphones, we talked a lot about clicks to bricks behavior of online driving consumers to the stores. But now with smartphones, we also have to think about the aisle to the internet, what we call the aisle to the internet behavior, because a lot of people, again, are using their smartphones, going to the store and going to buy online or continuing to buy back online via their smartphones. So it also, really stresses the point that as part of this cross-channel strategy, that you need to have, a mobile-optimized website. Your websites, both online as well as on mobile, need to really be mobile-optimized and help users as they're connecting to you at those different purchase points. So, if they're going to your mobile website while they're in the store because they want to get more product information, you should make it easy for them to do that and have a good mobile user experience. And all of this is really important because at the end of the day, smartphones really are enabling purchases. In fact, 74% have made a purchase as a result of using their smartphone to help them with shopping. Now, most of this is happening in store, 76%, and it's also happening online. But, smartphone, people are buying things on their smartphone. This is happening. It's the least among all the channels, but it's definitely on the radar. And if we dive into this a little bit further, what we found was that of those smartphone shoppers who made a purchase on their phone, 27% were doing this through a mobile website or doing this on their phones. Again, this really emphasizes the need to have a mobile-optimized website. I just want to cite a separate stat outside of this research that we've done at Google, which shows that only 21% of our top advertisers have a mobile-optimized website. And a lot of times people think that, I can see my website appearing on mobile, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's an easy user experience. And I would encourage, all of you to go in and test to see what your website looks like on mobile. Is there a lot of pinching and zooming that's involved? How easy is it to get to things like locate a retailer, which is one of the most common things that people want to do? And you should understand what are the key actions that mobile shoppers want to perform, whether that's request a quote or there's key products that mobile users want to access. Make that easily available to them because again, 27% are trying to purchase via mobile websites. There's an analogy that one of my colleagues has given out, which I love, which is that having a bad mobile website or bad user experience, it's like being closed on Thursdays. Having a store that's just closed on Thursdays. If a user comes in and they can't complete what they want to do, it's just like your store's just not open one day of the week. And so, again, really important to have a mobile-optimized website. Let me just move on and also say that smartphone purchases are also happening via apps. 22% we've found from this research are buying via apps. So, ultimately you need to decide what's your best mobile commerce strategy between having a website or an app or a website and an app. But this is a phenomenon that we're seeing here. Last, we asked consumers if they've made a smartphone purchase over the past year, and this is self-reported data about what did they purchase and how much did they spend in these different categories. And what we found was that there was a median smartphone purchase, median of purchases made on smartphones of $300. And this is excluding, outliers of purchases over $5,000. And what you can see is that purchases are happening across a variety of categories. The most common ones are entertainment items, and that's not surprising because we see, entertainment come up as one of the most frequently or top searched items. It also appears often in kind of local information queries. So you can imagine that these things are like movie tickets, but there's people purchasing things like electronics, as well as clothing or apparel. We don't have deeper data on how they're purchasing, via these categories, or more specifically what they're, what they're specifically purchasing. But I think about, just from my own experience, this growing phenomenon of flash sites like Guilt.com or Ideally, and there's a huge trend in mobile consumer purchases of clothing and apparel, and I can definitely see that just even based on my own experience. And so this is we think this is really interesting information that smartphone purchases are happening. So the last section of our findings was really understanding about how can we effectively reach the mobile users, or what are implications of smartphone usage in targeting mobile consumers, in particular with regards to how do they respond to mobile advertising. So, before just kind of taking a step back, I think it's really important to note that cross-media exposure influences mobile search, right? People are searching based off of the media that's around them. Now, the most popular kind of reason that people start searching is, very understandably, word of mouth. You're talking to someone, with your friends or family, or you see something, on Facebook, and that leads consumers to search. We saw earlier about how people are using their phones in their store. 70% are using phones in their store to help with shopping, and that also probably helps to explain why 44% of people are searching because they saw something in the store. Now, what I found really interesting was that a lot of searches are happening because of ads, and this really talks to the cross-media effects, especially around traditional media. 68% of people are searching because of things they've seen on TV, which is 43%, or they're hearing on the radio, or reading in a magazine, or just seeing outdoors on billboards. People are also searching because of online ads, whether that's online on their computer or online on mobile. So 27% are searching because they've seen a mobile display ad or a mobile search ad. And, the implications of this are that you really need to have an integrated kind of cross-media strategy. Again, this is, if we took the last three buckets you saw on the previous slide around online ads, traditional media, and mobile ads, altogether 71% of people are searching because they saw some form of an ad. So think about, your online advertising strategies, or, your traditional media strategies, and know that they do have effect on mobile consumer usage and what causes people to search. So I think this is really important. We talked just about mobile ads and why people search as a result of seeing them, or a result of seeing other media. A vast majority notice a mobile ad. 82% of people have noticed a mobile ad. And if we had asked this question, based on frequency, and sorry, I'm trying to pull up my notes. We asked the question based on frequency, and we actually saw that, while 82% have noticed a mobile ad, there's a good quarter percentage of people, 26%, who notice them all the time or most of the time. And the most common type of ads that get notice and visibility are display ads. But a third of people also really notice search ads. And we think that this high percentage of noticing and kind of recall of mobile ads is probably due to the fact that mobile phones have a smaller screen. So when your ad appears, it's just naturally more prominent. And it's also probably because smartphone usage is relatively new compared to online usage. I think the combination, of the two, the smaller screen, and as well as the relatively new medium, contribute to mobile ads being really noticed. Now, the key takeaway, the implications of this is that having a strong mobile ad strategy is important because half of those who see a mobile ad end up taking some form of action. And most of these actions are really desirable ones for advertisers, right? Half of them are looking for more information. They're continuing to look for it online, or they're continuing to look for it, by continuing to use their smartphones. A third are visiting or trying to find the retailer, so they're actually going to go to the business. And half of those who've seen a mobile ad, have purchased, and they're purchasing, both in the store, 31%, online on their computers, which is about a quarter, and also online via their smartphones. And so, again, it calls to the importance of really having this kind of integrated cross-media strategy, and with mobile advertising as a part of it, because users are taking action on these ads. So those are our main research findings. I just wanted to wrap up with a summary of the findings and the implications. In terms of overall smartphone usage behavior, we would say extend your online advertising strategies to mobile, because consumers are using their smartphones to help them with all aspects of their daily lives. And, as you heard from Natalie's earlier section, they're using it in those spare 30 seconds and those spare 30 minutes for both transactional reasons, whether it's, helping to manage their finances, or for entertainment reasons of playing games and apps or watching videos. So it's really, they're extending the desktop experience to mobile and taking it with them. So be there, when they're using it. The second, around action-oriented searchers, is that you want to be found via mobile search, as consumers are regularly using their phones to find and act on the information. As a recap, Natalie had shared that search is the most popular website that people use, and they're probably using that to help find and navigate to other information. So make sure that you help them get there, or help them find that information via mobile search. The third, around local information seekers, is that it's wise to incorporate location-based products and services, and just make it easy for mobile customers to reach you, because again, this is probably the most popular activity that all smartphone users do. And not only are they looking for this information, but they're really acting on it. So they have an immediate kind of urgent need. I had mentioned earlier that there are a variety of location-based products and services. With Google, there are specific mobile ad formats that you can leverage that make this easier for your consumers, such as click-to-call or hyperlocal, that includes the distance as well as a map and an address of your business in the ad format so that users can easily get to you. Fourth, around purchase-driven shoppers, again, it's really important to have a comprehensive cross-channel strategy, as these mobile shoppers are using their phones throughout all channels, in-store, online, and via mobile website and apps to help them with the research and purchase decisions. We've emphasized this throughout because it spans all the findings, but it's really critical to have a mobile optimized website so that consumers can easily complete their goals. Other things here, in terms of mobile advertising or for Google's mobile advertising, are leveraging features like mobile site links, which, if you're not aware of, allow you to add specific links that provide deeper navigation into different parts of your site. So if you want to point people to the store locator because you know that that's a common thing that people are looking for, within your search ad, you can have a link to the store locator. Or if you know that mobile users tend to buy a certain product more than desktop users, you can surface a link to that particular product page. So think about different ways that mobile consumers are trying to purchase and navigate and make it easy for them. The last, just in terms of wrapping up the last findings and implications around reaching your mobile consumer, is to have and implement an integrated mobile ads marketing strategy as people are using their smartphones while consuming other media and they're influenced by it. The last set of findings, we showed how people are influenced by the exposure to different ads. And earlier, Natalie had talked about how people are consuming other media while using their phone, like a third are using their phones while watching TV. So this has strong implications for thinking about how can you make those integrated marketing messages. And then the last thing is just ensuring that your mobile ads are engaging and appearing prominently as the majority of mobile users notice these ads and take action on them. Here, in terms of specific mobile advertising strategies, we talked about the ads being more prominent because they're on a smaller screen. So with regards to search ads, the implication here is that you want to make sure that as much as possible you're appearing in those prominent spots. On a mobile screen, there's only 5 ads compared to 11 on desktop. And like 2 ads at the top and, like 3 ads can be on the bottom. So think about your bidding strategies to ensure that you can get in those prominent spaces. With that, this kind of concludes our research findings and presentations. I want to open it up for questions and answers. If you'll give us just a few seconds, we've been collecting questions as we've been going throughout, and we'll just start queuing them up. But before we do that, I wanted to leave you, for those who might drop off, I wanted to let you know about these additional resources that, at the end of this Q&A, we'll make available the Smartphone User Research Report. You'll be able to download it specifically within WebEx. If you're not able to stay throughout the call, it will also be available on our Google Mobile Ads blog starting tomorrow. So please check that out. We'd love to get you these findings. And if you've enjoyed this research, and you haven't already, check out the video. It's a great way to share with others kind of findings of the smartphone research. And the last thing is I wanted to give a plug for our next mobile webinar, which is happening next week on May 3rd. It's about how do you optimize your site for mobile. We talked about its importance. Next week, we have several Google fellows who will be talking about best practices for developing a mobile-ready, mobile-optimized website. And you can register via the link there.